It's more of Amilya on 77 WABC.
It is Saturday night, and I'm Amilya, broadcasting live from the WABC studios in New York City and streaming live on iHeartRadio.com and Amilya.com worldwide. Well, we're talking about leaderships and attracting and keeping the right people. I can tell you, after employing more than 40,000 people, I definitely have my philosophies and my methods, processes, and procedures for building teams, but I am always learning. So tonight, we invited an expert in unfranchising and a true leader in his industry. David Hicks is co-president of the Dallas-based Homevestors of America, where we've all seen the slogan, "We buy ugly houses." It is the largest professional house buying franchise in the U.S. with over 56,000 houses bought since 1996. Homevestors has more than 500 franchises throughout 42 states. Franchises Business Review named them one of the top 50 franchises. That is definitely an award that is one of the highest levels of compliment for franchise satisfaction. And in 2014, Homevestors was named as the 25th fastest growing franchise by Entrepreneurs Magazine. Wow, that's what I can say. Since joining Homevestors in 2005, David Hicks quickly has developed processes of coaching franchises, and he's knocking it out of the park. Please welcome David to the show. David, welcome.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, I'm so excited. So first of all, yes, we've all seen your signs. I actually love every time I see the sign. I actually laugh when I see "We buy ugly houses." But can you tell us a little bit about exactly what Homevestors does?
Well, we are a franchise company, which means we have independently owned and operated franchises all over the country. We're in 42 states and 120 different markets across the country that our franchises do literally that. They buy houses typically in need repair, then either fix them up and resell them or sometimes keep them as rental properties.
That's awesome. So, as a leader, what is different about leading franchisees that is different than leading a typical team of employees?
Well, in fact, we really have three different groups that we lead, and I'm very blessed, or we are very blessed. I'm really co-president of the company. I have a cohort that works with me that I trust, Ken Chanel, that we work. But it's three different. First of all, we've got an internal team. Then we have development agents that really coach the franchisees. And the ones that really impact and do the work are the franchisees. But they are not employees. They are not working for the company. They're really independent businessmen that are running their own business. So though they're under our network, they have the opportunity to buy houses from themselves. They work within the brand, but they are an independently owned and operated franchise.
What can definitely make it harder. I definitely know when you get a group of entrepreneurs, it's kind of like herding cats. So what do you use something different when you're trying to lead a team of entrepreneurs or independent owners and operators than you do when you've got the internal employees? Are they motivated differently?
Absolutely. And they're motivated by different things. And that's probably the real difference. And many people go, and there's a big difference between leadership and management. You can't manage a group of franchises. You have to lead them.
That's a great point. That's a really good point.
So one of the things we try to do is make sure we set up a structure that they work within. They have to follow our system standards. They have to follow the guidelines we do at a company, but yet not be too restrictive and give them the ability to go work on their dreams and help them fulfill whatever their dream is.
So what do you look for in talent when you're recruiting? I mean, is there something specific that you're looking for?
Absolutely. We very much look for people we can trust because part of it, they are an extension of our brand. And so the number one thing is they have to represent Homevestors and represent our brand because they're working with a homeowner, and in a local community, a local city they live in, they are Homevestors. And so it's real important that they be able to follow through on what they say they're going to do. So we look for that type of person. We also look for a person that can work with a team. One of the great pleasures we have in the franchises is, as a system, our franchises do work real hard to help each other, because they know that if they all succeed, that it helps them.
Got it. So we all, as leaders, I've been in this game now for more years than I like to admit, but, we all have that first kind of leadership, oh my goodness, memory story. So can you share with me a story that you remember as more of a rookie as a leader, how you really realized that it was your butt who was in the leadership role?
Yeah, and one of the things, probably a great experience I had that helped me is working with the JC's organization. When I was just getting started, I had my own business in Austin, Texas, and became a part of a volunteer group called the JC's. And I went on to become a state president, a national officer, and international officer, working all over the Far East with the JC's. But when you start realizing that a total volunteer group like that you can have a huge impact on them and the success they have, that becomes a real fun opportunity for you to be able to do that. And what hit me with leading franchises is it's much like leading that volunteer group, because volunteers don't have to do anything. They do it because they want to do it. And if you help them work towards a common goal and see that common goal and becomes their goal, then you get everybody moving the same direction. And that's much of what we have to do, what we get to do, have the opportunity to work with franchises.
Awesome. So what do you know today as a leader that you didn't know 20 years ago when you were venturing out?
Good question. Probably the biggest thing that we have the opportunity to do today is pick the members of your team. How important it is to make sure that you choose the right team, and that's both internal and external. Because if you pick a person that fits well with the team, that fits well with what our beliefs are, and that will fit in and work with the local ad council, that will work with other franchises, then the rest of it's easy.
Got it. So, there's all kinds of tools that are out there to help, motivate people and try to kind of get the right people in the right roles doing the right thing. Do you have a favorite tool that you've come across that you kind of go to over and over again?
Yeah, we do. In fact, it's one that we've kind of adapted. We call it a 4th strength profile. One of the areas we do, we have every employee that before we hire, take it. We have every franchise take it. We encourage them to have it with their team. But it helps you realize that part of leadership is not working with weaknesses. It's helping find a person's strength and help them utilize that strength in the best way that they can be successful. If a person, whether it's an internal or an external, whether it's a franchise or whether it's one of our team members here, if we can put them in a place that they have the best opportunity to be successful, then they're happier, they work better as a team. When you try to take a person that doesn't fit a role and they're trying to do a role they don't fit, they're never happy.
Got it. And you call that the 4-strength profile? Is that what's referred to?
That's correct.
It's is that kind of like Strength Finders? Is that the kind of similar philosophy?
Yeah, I think all of them are very close. This works very well with us, with our people, probably more because we understand it. I'm not sure any of them make a difference. What's important is not necessarily what tool you use, but the way you use it. If you can find what it is somebody's good at and help them take advantage of that, and take the things they're not good at and have somebody else do those things, it helps the whole team.
I agree 100%. And it's interesting because, when we have kids, when they come home from school, we're always trying to push them to get better in the subjects that they're not good in. We focuses on the F's and the D's versus kind of, amplifying the A's and the B's. And then you get into real leadership and real life experience, and you realize that what really works is amplifying where people excel. So I really like that that's part of your leadership mindset. And I think it's really a smart one. So up next, more great leadership advice and stories from the trenches from David Hicks from Homevestors, because it is Saturday night, and I'm Amelia on 77 WABC.
Agree or disagree? Lover or hater? You'll never be indifferent about Amelia. Now back to the show on 77 WABC.
Oh, welcome back to the Midnight Hour, the Hour of Change. I'm Amelia, broadcasting live from WABC Studios in New York City and streaming live on iHeartRadio.com and Amilya.com worldwide. We're talking about leadership and the value of the people. We are speaking with co-president of Homevestors. You've seen their billboards, We Buy Ugly Houses, and they were recognized by Entrepreneur Magazine as one of the 25 fastest growing franchises. David, just before the break, we were talking about the importance of people in their businesses and your philosophy, because you're having to actually do two things. One, you're running employees, but at the same time, you're running independent business owners. So I was saying it's a little bit like running cats. It's a very difficult skill set because they're so different. So I wanted to touch on a little bit, just before the break, you were talking about you focus on people's strengths versus working on people's weaknesses, which I love that philosophy. I think amplifying what we do naturally definitely reinforces a more synergistic team. But let me ask you about this. Because you guys are growing so fast, what is it that you've had to implement with your people and with your team because of the rapid speed? Does that make any difference in leadership?
Yes, it does in many ways, and part of it is just going back to making sure you have the right people. But second, a part of that is when we attract entrepreneurs. We're attracting people that have that entrepreneurial spirit. They want to buy houses. They see our billboards and they say, "Boy, how can I do that?" So it's real important for us that entrepreneurs tend to stretch the boundaries. They tend to stretch what they can do. And so it's real important that we help them. We set standards. We have systems and standards that our franchises are very well aware of, that they know the boundaries. Within those boundaries, they have the ability to be creative, and part of that is that creative bunch. They'll attract that. But it's very important they know what those boundaries are. And if they don't, they'll stretch past it.
Absolutely. I think everybody, from kids all the way through entrepreneurs and business leaders, teams, all of them, I think having a good, solid structure helps people excel. So again, I'm right with you on that one. So this is something that I always ask other leaders. I ask about their signature, their secret sauce. I love to be able to go into a company and start to recognize who the leader was that was there just by talking to the teams, looking at the culture, picking up on the environment. Do you have anything specific that you would say would be your leadership signature that I would know you were there?
Well, maybe one of the things that I believe is if you're not careful, I think part of my style, and I had a mentor early on that was talking about leadership. And he says, what you really want to do is find people that are willing to run fast enough you can't keep up with them.
Oh, I like that.
What we try to find, and in fact his comment was, he said that you come find me and it's so wait for me, I'm your leader. And the reality is that we are blessed in having a franchise organization with a bunch of leaders all over the country. We attract people that want to be leaders. So part of our role is not being that person out front all the time. And one of the things I think Ken Chanel and I are very, we have to be comfortable in our role and what we do, and understanding that we're not the one that has to be and needs to be up front. In fact, I would prefer having a local guy get credit in that local market. because that's where our real growth is coming from. It's the Ricky Williams in Houston that is doing all the stuff in Houston. And the more we can recognize the local people spread all over the country and make sure they get credit for what they're doing, the easier it makes our job.
Wow, that's so beautiful, because it's so often ego and greed is what kills companies. It kills leaderships. It definitely sounds like you guys have a firm handle on really highlighting and sharing the success that you guys are having. And again, it just sounds like such a great culture. I read a little bit in your background that you had a role at Success Motivation Institute, which kind of definitely to me sounded like a teaching kind of role. Tell me a little bit about that, and how has that helped you be a better, leader for your teams?
Yeah, absolutely. Because SMI, Success Motivation Institute, it was, as president of SMI, part of what that whole company did is train and help leaders train and motivate their people. And so it gave me a little bit different perspective on that role, because we couldn't go into a company and motivate that company. Our role was to help the leader motivate their team. And that's much of what we have to do here that applies to what we do here. If we can help a franchise learn to be a leader of their team, and an ad council president be a leader of their ad council, and a development agent work with their team, everything else follows.
Love it. So if you were going to give, one last piece of advice for people who are listening who keep saying, I want to be in management, I want to be a leader, I want to, take the next level up in their career, what would you say to them that would really, you think, would be able to help them move to that next level?
The first thing is just find the right people. Find people you can trust, people you can count on, and then trust them until they show you can't anymore. We have all of our team. Our goal is that everybody that we have help them understand that we believe in them. And if we don't believe in a person, we don't want them on our team. And when they're on their team, the goal is to make sure they understand and they know that we believe in them and we trust them. As soon as we don't, then we're going to replace them with somebody we can.
So it sounds like that's that all-in commitment, right? All the way in, and then it also sounds like you're saying, be slow to hire but quick to fire. Am I hearing you correct?
Well, I think so. Although our people, we don't have much turnover. I mean, our internal staff, we just don't. Our franchise, we don't. We just don't lose many people. Part of it is because I think they love our culture. Part of it is they love what they're doing. And part of it is that we've got the right people.
That's awesome.
Because it helps us with that whole culture thing.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I know the listeners enjoyed it too. And for more information, you can go to homevestors.com. This was David Hicks, who is the co-president of Homevestors. Thank you very much for joining us tonight and sharing your leadership tip. I really enjoyed it, and I love the accent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amelia.
All right. Bye-bye. Good night.
She's not here to change your mind, but she will get you to think for yourself. It's more of Amilya on 77 WABC.